is the portrait of a city.
San Francisco is my town. As beautiful today as it was when I first came here. Oh, the transportation has changed. These jets whisk in and out every few seconds of the day. Excited visitors from the world over come here now just as they did a century ago. But it was clipper ships then, and wagons and mules. They came from all over, and by most any means, but they got here. And most of them for about the same reasons. Gold, adventure, fun. To be a lusty, brawling part of a lusty, growing West. Yes, sir, this was my town then, as it still is today. And I want to tell you about it. San Francisco, city of the Golden Gate, the city on 7 hills, with a heart as golden as her gate. Just a little over 100 years ago, this was a tiny village of Spanish colonists called Yerba Buena. Then came the gold strike and the silver finds in the Nevada territory, and the rush of the 49ers turned Yerba Buena into the city of the Bonanza age. Yes, sir, the gay 90s were even gayer here than in little old New York, and we had some times. Yes, we've got a lot of memories. Some of them aren't so good. 1906 didn't do my town much good. Just about a minute, an earthquake laid it out flat on a sourdough's flapjack. And this old fire station saw action that day. Fires burned for 3 days and nights. But the firemen were helpless when the water lines broke. So when we rebuilt the town, these large cisterns were put in street intersections where water is still stored. We put a monument in St. Mary's Park to honor those wonderful volunteer firemen. And Lily Coit, who was mascot to one of the fire companies when she was a girl, left another monument, Coit Tower on Telegraph Hill. The palace. Back when $5 million was $5 million, they built the Palace Hotel, and the quake shook it down. We put up a new one then, and the garden court still has the atmosphere we all remember so well. It's on Market Street, greatest street in the world. I can still remember when streetcars ran 4 abreast from the Ferry Building to Twin Peaks, cutting through the Civic Center with its fabulous opera house where the United Nations was chartered. I'd say more people know about Nob Hill than Piccadilly Circus. I could be a little prejudiced, though. Magnificent hotels top the hill now, like the new Fairmount Tower with its crown room. and its glass elevator running up and down the outside wall, giving you a thrilling view of the Bay Area. But there's much more to San Francisco than just a bunch of yesterdays. Union Square, where the citizens made their choice during the Civil War, is in the center of the most fabulous shopping area in the world, where little flower stalls decorate the sidewalks. Shops are filled with goods from everywhere, from the commonplace to the most exotic. And shops. This one began as an art shop in the gold rush days. Today, it's the world's most unusual store, with a king's ransom collection of masterpieces in jade. Have you ever visited our Chinatown? Well, even if you haven't, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's the biggest Chinese city in the world outside the Orient. Around the turn of the century, it was as full of intrigue and mystery as Shanghai. But when they rebuilt it after the earthquake, the famous 6 families ruled the Chinese community and brought law and order to their people. It's filled with bazaars stocked with silks, teak, lacquer, bronze, ivories, and other treasures of the East, and just about the best Chinese food in the country. This is the Chinese Telephone Exchange, the building that began the idea of Chinese architecture here. Yes, if you haven't been to Chinatown, it's a must. These friendly neighbors are westernized in most of their customs, but they still carry on many traditions of their ancestors. We're proud of our town, and we like to show it off. Lots of sightseeing arrangements are available with a uniformed chauffeur in a limousine who calls for you at your hotel, and away you go. First, through some of the fine residential districts. Past the Palace of Fine Arts, still standing from the exposition many years ago. And on to the Yacht Harbor with incredible Golden Gate Bridge as a backdrop. of winding drives crisscross San Francisco, many leading through Golden Gate Park with playgrounds, woods, flowers, even a Japanese tea garden. This replica of the giant Buddha of Japan makes it difficult to remember that you're in Golden Gate Park, San Francisco, USA. A true evidence of our city's cosmopolitan character. When it comes to being cosmopolitan, these little beggars know no barriers, particularly if a peanut is involved in the discussion. San Francisco's streets are sometimes like roller coaster tracks, and one of them, Lombard, is the crookedest street in the world. We don't really drive like that here, but once in a while you might think you are, as you climb Nob Hill toward the world-famous Mark Hopkins for a few moments in the top of the Mark. Look at it, spread out like a bag of gold dust on the bar. San Francisco, of the cable cars and the sidewalk flower stands, of North Beach, Chinatown, and the waterfront Jack London loved as much as I do. The old Ferry Building still stands guard at the foot of Market Street, dwarfed by the bridge that soars above its tower. My San Francisco is a city of the sea. A giant natural harbor discovered by accident less than 200 years ago. For nearly a century, the inland waters were almost unused. Then the western trek of pioneers spurred the founding of the city, and the seaport grew and grew. I can still remember my first Sunday breakfast at the Cliff House by the window over the surf that pounds on seal rocks. There's a museum here, several of them in fact. brisk bit of salt air that's invigorating. The beach stretches for miles, from the Cliff House to the Fly Shacker Zoo. Giant waves roll in to crash in frothing surf that offers rugged sport to the more daring. When you look north from Seal Rocks, you see the Golden Gate, spanned by the mightiest bridge man has yet built. And what men it took to build it. On the point where one giant foot of the bridge is planted, still stands old Fort Scott, built before the Civil War. My town's a vibrant, throbbing city with a mighty spirit that seems personified by this bridge which leads north. In a few moments, you leave behind the rush of today, the memories of yesterday, and walk in the awesome hush of a cathedral of nature. Here are some of the oldest living things on earth. Many of these giant sequoia trees were standing tall and firm before Jesus was born in Bethlehem. You know, if there's anything that's all San Francisco's, it's the noisy little cable cars. The Powell Street line is my favorite, with its turntable at Market Street, where you can help turn the car. Past Union Square, hotels, shops, people galore. The little car clanks and sways up Powell Street, climbing Nob Hill. Some of our motormen are pure musicians, the way they ping their bells. Yes, we built our cable cars, we San Franciscans. Our hills were their proving grounds, and though other folks used them afterwards, only here can you still find them. Why, we'd rather sooner give up maybe even one of our wonderful bridges before we'd give up one single cable car. Down the other side of the hill, the little car scoots through Little Italy, where so many of our world-famous restaurants are, and on to the end of the line, a short walk from Fisherman's Wharf. Row after row of sturdy fishing boats ride quietly at their moorings. And if you like seafood, this is the place for you. Restaurants and sidewalk markets line the dock's edge, and great cauldrons of steaming, boiling water prepare the day's catch. Pier 43 on Fisherman's Wharf is the starting point of every visitor's favorite cruise. Aboard the cruise ship Harbor King, or his consort, the Harbor Queen, you circle the bay on a never-to-be-forgotten adventure. As you look at the city's skyline with its tall buildings marching up the hills, it seems incredible that as late as 1835, the first real house had not yet been built in the settlement of Yerba Buena. And it wasn't until a year before the Declaration of Independence was signed that the first ship sailed through the Golden Gate. Now look at it. The bridge spans the gate in one great leap nearly a mile long from pillar to pillar, and high enough for the largest ocean liner to glide beneath its arch of steel. I can remember when Alcatraz prison was built on the rock. Now it's deserted. I used to love the lumbering old ferry boats that took us back and forth across the bay. Now they're gone too, and the 8 miles of bay is spanned by the Bay Bridge in 2 sections, boring through the rocky hill of Yerba Buena Island in the middle. You know, I've heard a lot of my friends say if you don't like our weather, just wait a minute or two. Something might come up that'll suit you more. Well, I guess that's sort of true, but we like it. Even the fog is something we look at as all our own. A fog that creeps through the gate and over the hills like a giant burglar rolling down the bay, or maybe just disappearing to leave the bridges silhouetted in the evening light. A burglar who's never stolen anything except a city's heart. Well, San Francisco's evenings are my favorite. Guess you can tell that, can't you? Our visitors often join one of several nightclub parties, complete with personal escort who arranges all the details. And they're off on a fun trip they never forget. It was just as gay before they invented all these neon signs. Here on the Barbary Coast, you'll find whatever you want. From boogie, to beatniks, to grand opera, or the Orient. Yes, here in the most exciting town in the world are some of the most exciting shows in the world. San Francisco, where the little cable cars climb almost to the stars, the flower stands on the corners, the waterfront and its bridges, great hotels and nightclubs, Fisherman's Wharf and Seal Rocks, grand boulevards and little storybook alleys with storybook names, fabulous history and energetic living today. When your jetliner whisks you away beyond the Golden Gate, steal one last glance at my town. Promise me you'll come back sometime real soon. Come back to my city on 7 Hills.